What's your leadership makeup after you lose a guy that's so, I guess, revered in that regard like Bo?
Yeah, I think when you have that type of leadership, it gives guys almost, I would say, a mentor. So, like, man, the past 3 years, he's been mentoring guys in terms of how he leads and go about his work. So now those guys are the upperclassmen. I'm thinking of, Jameson Patton, Drew Surges. The effect of Bo has kind of sprinkled out through our room. So guys understand what it takes and kind of what we're asking from them from expectations. But if I had to say, like, guys stepping up, Jeremiah Cooper's had a great offseason of really trying to grow out of his shell, communication-wise, and being a little bit more vocal and grabbing guys. I know in the spring I told you guys about Jameson Patton and trying to like reestablish, and I think he's kind of took that by the bell, and he's the guy breaking down the group. He's the guy that's kind of more of the boisterous voice of our room. You know what I mean? So it's kind of been a tag team between guys, but I think everybody knows the expectation of what leadership looks like, and multiple guys are trying to display that.
How good can Jameson be? Because it feels like he's a guy that you can play at more than one spot, and he's kind of built on each season.
He can be as good as he wants to be. I think, when you talk about things that take no talent to make yourself a good player, like he does all those things. So if you were here any month during the off season, he would be a guy that would have been here at 6 a.m., whether he's watching film or getting rehab or trying to prehab things. He's been a pro about his workmanship. So now it's like it's starting to translate on the football field. And I think he has a really, really high potential rate. And it's all right, cool. Can you sustain that? And I think he's been growing toward that. But I'm really excited about his future.
We also had JMO during media day, and then again today. How has his training camp gone? And is he a guy that's kind of pushing Tayshaun there? And what's the competition look like?
Yeah, I would say he's been the most consistent he's been. He's a guy that I think looked at this all season as, man, I want to step up and be the guy. You look at it, Malik is leaving. It's been a really, I would say, tight battle, to be completely honest, between Tayshaun and even Cam Smith. Guys have been putting their best foot forward, but Jameson has really, I thought, blossomed this fall camp and probably playing the best football that he's played here. So we feel really good about where he's at.
And then with Marcus Neal, is he a guy that's kind of taken that momentum from last season? And what have you seen from him so far?
Absolutely. He's taken it. I think this fall camp, you see him playing fast. He's playing downhill. He's playing really confident. And I think us as coaches continue to put him in positions where he feels that he can play fast, because that's his best, I would say, attribute, is that when he knows, he goes, and you better look out. So I'm excited to see where he goes this really the start of the season and obviously throughout the year.
How have you seen Jeremiah Cooper's role kind of evolve, I guess, this offseason in your guys' defensive scheme? Maybe not so much as a leader, but just
I think he just brings so much versatility. So, like, man, just trying to figure out, where can we put him in certain situations. But he, playing safety, man, he plays high in the post. He plays as a low robber. We've done a lot of different things with him to, like, try to really best suit his skill set. But we try to figure out what's best for him. He's played corner, he's played safety, and it's just kind of like package of where we putting him at. But we're going to utilize him every way that we possibly can, just like we've done in the past.
How much does your room, and you specifically, work closely with Coach Boti in their room on a day-to-day basis in practice?
We're lockstep. And like you talk about secondary play from a communication standpoint, from an alignment standpoint, we have to be married up. So me and Coach Boti work very closely. You'll see him, if you're at a practice, you'll see him communicating with the safeties. You'll see me communicating with the corners. It's just, when you get to individual, some of the things are a little bit more individualized, but in terms of the greater scale of things, we work very closely together in terms of how we kind of coach the secondary.
And how much do you think that contributes to someone like Jeremiah Cooper being able to move around and play corner, play nickel, or
you just hear some of the technique things from another person. So it's another voice that somebody can hear and grab something from. You know what I mean? And it gives a coach another opportunity to kind of build that relationship with guys, so they can take, man, whether it's a suggestion here or anything like that. It's not the first time you're hearing another coach speak to you.
Campbell's talked to us a lot about toughness on this team and wanting to see it. And I think about everything Bo played through, Malik playing with a broken arm, I think on multiple occasions. How do you guys talk about that in that room? Because there does seem to be a legacy of
it's a standard.
At the highest level.
Yeah, it's a standard. We talk about it like that has to be our DNA for how we're successful as a team, as a defense, but as a position group. we're in the run fits. This is a very unique defense. You could be a deep half safety and you could be a C-gap defender. You know what I mean? So you better be physical and you better be willing to put your body on the line. But I think that's just the standard of how we operate. And, when you see guys, you see Bo running out there, you see Malik with a cast on, it rubs off on guys where it's like, man, if he can do it, I can do it. And I think that's just kind of been how it's been the past few years.
Coach, what is it specifically about Jeremiah's skill set that would make him a good cornerback?
I think he's a great safety. I think he's a great defensive back. And you look at Jalen Ramsey for the Steelers. You hear them talking about it. He's playing inside, outside. He's playing some safety. And I think when you have a guy that has the hips, the speed, you just try to put him in the best situation that you can put him in. But yeah, I think he just has short area quickness. If you look at like just a skill set, his short area quickness, his change of direction. He has top end vertical speed. And then he has a really good just awareness in zone coverages, and that's why you've been able to see him make some plays on the ball is because he's really savvy. So he does a lot of really good things.
Coach, just what are your thoughts on the way that Jameson and Tayshaun handled last year and the increasing workload as the year went on, and how are the biggest ways that they've improved since then?
Yeah, I think I would say their first 2 years, they've probably been in like a pupil role. Like, man, you had Malik, and they've just kind of been like understudies, I guess, if that's the best way. So now that it's kind of Malik is out, and it's kind of been like clearing for these guys to kind of take the next step. So now they don't want to just, they want to bring guys in to meet. Like, I think Jameson, we had the day off yesterday, but he's having his own position meeting with guys in here at 10 o'clock in the morning on an off day. So that just kind of lets you speak about just the volume of leadership that they both have taken. But I think it's been just a transition of like, man, I'm not a backup anymore. I'm not a role guy. Like, your role is to be a guy, and that's kind of been their approach.
And with Drew Surges, obviously saw a lot of action 2 years ago. Just how's the recovery been for him, and how's he looking?
Good. This is the healthy he's been. Hasn't had any major setbacks. I would say this is probably, we've challenged him. I know I challenged him this offseason to kind of have like a killer mindset, and he's kind of attacked that. I would say this is the best that he's been playing. I think you're going to see him play football for us this fall. Special teams, you'll see him rotating in there in the middle safety position. But I think he's a guy that's going to bring a lot of value to our defense this fall.
Yeah, Coach, what did coaching through last year and all those injuries teach you?
Hey, man, hey, as a safety group, we were kind of, even though we were banged up, like our approach was, man, you got younger guys standing beside you, like you got to pick up and you got to make an extra play or two to help settle those guys in. And understanding the situation from a coaching perspective, like, man, some of the things you may do from a scheme standpoint may put a little bit more pressure on you. So like, all right, great. Our guys had to kind of rise up and figure out, like, man, some things we were doing situationally, call-wise, whatever that may be, like, they had to kind of rise their sense of urgency up. And as a coach, it's the same thing. Like, man, what can you do with the 11 guys you have on the field to, like, be the best defense possible? And I think last year was kind of like, all right, we had to do things to figure it out. And on Saturday, the guys were able to go execute that. And they took it as a, kind of chip on the shoulder of, like, how good can we be to help the rest of the team, rest of the defense? That was kind of the mindset.
You've signed a lot of safeties in the last couple recruiting classes, 24, 25. What have you seen out of that group, in addition to the guys that we've talked about maybe already, and what's the future hold for those?
We're expecting those guys to help us out faster than later, to be honest with you. You think about, obviously Marcus Neal. You talk about Carson Van Denter. He's a transformed guy. I've always talked to him as like kind of a wild man, you know what I mean? And now he's been really consistent. But he can run, he can jump, he can tackle. I expect to see him play for us. Kaijon Cummings, another guy that you guys probably don't know, he's explosive athlete, does a lot of different things. So it's a good problem to have that you got a lot of young guys that are like biting in the heels of people and challenging guys. So this is probably the most competitive it's been from a younger standpoint of guys pushing the upper guys, to be completely honest with you, which is a great, I wouldn't call it a problem, man, but it's a good feeling to know that guys are coming in and able to help you out faster than later.
Building off of Kaijon, what specifically about his skill set made position change?
Yeah, he's a dynamic athlete. If you were to go back and watch his high school tape, you would see him playing all positions, really good with the ball in his hands. Last year he was the offensive scout team player of the year. We were low on receivers, and we knew he could catch punts and do stuff like. And he went out there for like one practice and was like, oh, who's this kid catching? And it's like, all right, well, just keep him there because he'll probably give us some of the best looks, right? And he just kind of took off, and it was like, all right, where can we put this kid to kind of get the same output of what we've seen him on the offensive standpoint? And he's been around the ball, but he's a dynamic kid. He 0 to 60, you would see that he's very quick, straight line speed. I want to say he's like a 10-6 kid, but he's also 205 pounds, so he's a physical kid as well. But he kind of reminds me of a personality of like Malik. He's gonna bring some stuff to him. And he got like a lot of energy, a lot of juice about himself. So I'm really excited about what he can bring to the table.
I think we're good.
Appreciate it. Thank you.